This is K.M. Weiland, and you're listening to the 81st episode of the Wordplay Podcast. I've spent most of this week inching forward in my manuscript. If ever a story proved the need for saving deletions in a separate folder, this one has. I learned long ago that copy-pasting deleted data into a separate file, instead of just flat-out erasing it, can save a lot of peace of mind and make it easier to cut material, since it's not as if I'll be losing my precious words and hard work altogether. But not until this current story have I ever gone back and salvaged so many deleted scenes. Due to the complicated timeline of this story, I originally wrote nearly 50 pages of scenes that I then deleted in order to open the story in what I felt was a better place. As always, I copy-pasted my deletions into another folder, never really expecting them to see the light of day again. But as the story has progressed, I've been delighted to discover I can reuse many of these scenes later in the story. There's no easier or more fun way to boost your word count than to paste in complete chapters from the delete folder. Are You Writing What You Know? The latest post in the video series on my blog offers some examples, via David Guterson's East of the Mountains, of how important it is to know our subject matter. You can watch the video on my blog at wordplay-kmweiland, that's weiland.blogspot.com. New videos are posted every Wednesday. Meanwhile, enjoy this week's podcast, the second installment in the Most Common Writing Mistakes series, entitled, Are You Using There as a Crutch? When used as a pronoun, the utilitarian word there becomes an insidiously easy way for writers to get their point across. There gets the job done, no doubt about it. But using there at the beginning of sentences and phrases is the lazy way out. Whenever you see the word there used as a pronoun, you can be sure it's being used as a crutch to hold up a weak and passive sentence. Let's look at a few examples. Example number 1. There was a large wart on the scary old lady's chin. Example number 2. When Jackson looked across the room, he was shocked to see there were several policemen talking with his boss. Example number 3. When in doubt, remember there is always more than one way to write a sentence. Every single one of these sentences is sagging with passive verbs and flabby imagery. How much better would they sound if we sent there packing and reworked them into more active constructions? Example number 1 reworked. A large wart sprouted hair on the old lady's chin. Example number 2 reworked. When Jackson looked across the room, he froze. Several policemen stood talking with his boss. Example number 3 reworked. When in doubt, remember you can always find more than one way to write a sentence. When we get rid of the there constructions, we're able to use snappier verbs, which in turn create more easily visualized images and a stronger voice. Granted, there is often a much easier and even more natural way to write, but if we stop and spend a little bit more time considering our word choices, we can often create much stronger sentences. There needn't be expunged every time it crops up in your writing. Sometimes the word flow or the voice of your narrating character may work better with a few theres scattered in your prose. But be aware of the downfalls. Every time you find yourself typing there as a pronoun, reconsider your sentence. Would your scene offer more vibrancy if you reworked the sentence with more active verbs? Thank you for listening to the Wordplay Podcast. To read a transcript of this episode, visit me on the web at wordplay-kmweiland, that's weiland.blogspot.com, and be sure to listen again next week.